Do some things sometimes seem out of focus, like me? Having me out of focus is probably not that bad of an idea. However, me and focus or not is not what we need to talk about. Look at the model from our last session. We have maximum success at the top, the importance of a strong foundation of open to learning at the bottom, and the critical overreaching elements that says everything is merely talk until it is applied. And that's application. So let us talk about the first support pillars, focus. Let me illustrate with a story that I recall goes something like this, according to Jim Fay. The junior high principal stopped in at the boys' restroom just a few minutes before the ending school bell. When he opened the door, he noticed 3 boys busily creating a toilet paper ceiling by wetting paper in the sink and tossing it into the air. They were quite successful and had a significant number of stalactites hanging down. As might be expected, upon seeing the principal, the boys were significantly concerned. But here they were trapped. The only exit had a very formidable object, the principal, hindering their egress. They stood in silence, waiting for the painful ending that surely must come. Moments passed. A student opened the door to come into the restroom, but noting the situation, quickly decided he really did not need to go to the bathroom really that bad, and closed the door and left. At this point, if you were the principal, what would you have done? What were your options? You could rather loudly upbraid them. You could sentence them to hours of detention. You could suspend them for a day or two. You could take them down to the office and call in their parents. Now, you may have thought of other things that might have worked as well. So, what did our principal do? Well, finally, after a significant pause, the principal broke the silence. He looked at the boys. He looked at the ceiling. Then back to the boys. How are you going to get them down? He asked. The boys were stunned. Instead of a lightning bolt striking them down or instant death by some other means, the principal said, "What?" The principal repeated his statement. How are you going to get those down? Well, finally, one of the boys came out of his stupor and replied, "I don't know." One of his companions, coming back from the dead or nearly dead, followed with, "I guess we need a ladder." The principal nodded in agreement, looked at the ceiling, and then at the boys, and then asked, "Where are you going to get a ladder?" Another pause. Then one of the boys blurted, the custodian, he has a ladder. He'd probably let us borrow it. We should go and find the custodian. Well, the principal nodded in agreement and said probably so, but then he didn't allow everyone to go. He allowed 2 of the boys to go and find the custodian and to get a ladder. The boys left, and in a few minutes they were back, and with the ladder. As they were setting it up, one of them realized the time was moving right along, and the closing bell, the end of the school bell, was going to be ringing very soon. He exclaimed, "The bell is going to ring, and the buses will leave. And we're bus students, and we're going to miss our bus." The boys looked at each other, then at the principal, whose only response was a nod and a "probably so." The boys had little choice, so they continued removing the toilet paper from the ceiling, and the bell rang and the buses left. One of the boys had an idea. He said, "My dad's home. He'll probably come and get us." The boy then turned to the principal and asked if he could go call his dad. The principal said he would allow him to do that, but first, the principal, he needed to go to the office for a moment. He expected the boys to continue working and to complete their work. The principal then left, and he went to the office. He called the boy's father and related what was going on and asked that the father play along and make this a learning experience. The principal then returned, went to the restroom, the bell had rung, the buses were leaving. The principal told the students that he could go and call his dad. The boy was gone for a few moments, and then he returned with the news that yes, indeed, his father would pick him up, but that his father was really mad. Well, the boys completed their work, returned the ladder to the custodian, and got their things ready to leave. As they left, they thanked the principal and went on their way. Of all of the possibilities that were at the principal's disposal on handling that situation, he chose no detention, no suspension, no calling parents in, no ranting and raving, no lectures on how boys their age should know better. Now, how does that relate to focus? Well, what would each of these other possibilities have done to the attitude of the boys involved? After any one of those other alternatives, how likely would it have been for the boys to thank the principal? What was the principal's focus? As I review that situation, I see a master of the ability to not let current situations deter a strong understanding and a determination to move toward a well thought out focus. This principal's focus was on preparing these young men to take responsibility for their own actions, to understand that they had the power to make choices and that choices have consequences. His focus was to empower these boys to deal with reality in a sane way. So let's talk about focus. Sometimes we confuse focus with goals and objectives. Focus is the overall, the permeating drive for our quest. Having been a high school principal and also spent a number of years working with junior high students, I've observed some adults who would have to make a big issue out of this toilet paper situation. They would have blown it out of proportions. They would have decreed a significant punishment. Students used to confide in me about people like that who worked with them. Bitterness and lack of respect for those individuals frequently came through. So what does focus have to do with you? Sometimes when I talk with people in different businesses, I find some real confusion. A realtor may say that her focus is selling homes. A car salesman may say he is selling cars. A teacher may believe his quest is in teaching math. A banker in making money. A baker in putting out a number of pies. And persons in sales improving his quarterly report. None of these are bad. All can be considered appropriate goals for these individuals, but they are not good focuses. None of them are a North Star like travelers used to use, but of course never really reached. What focus is that overall North Star to you? A key is the word service to realtors. For example, their focus should be on meeting the needs of their buyer to positively affect their family, to find a special place to live and grow. The car salesman whose focus is to provide the best kind of transportation for their client, he'll do far better than one whose objective is only to meet a quota and sell a number of cars or make a number of dollars. The teacher whose objective is to teach math will never be as successful and as impacting as the one whose focus is teaching and growing kids and helping them through understanding math. So in summary, the focus you have allows a better alignment of objectives, of goals, provides more lasting success, and it shows in how you operate. A person who runs a restaurant and whose objective is to provide the most satisfying experience, the most satisfying experience possible for everyone who walks through his door, will always be more successful than the one I observed at one time arguing with the diner about how long that diner had been waiting for service. Those who feel you really care about what they need and what you really believe in serving them will be much more likely to return and more likely to speak positively about you to their friends. So what is your focus, and how do you determine that? The way we operate reveals our focus. A math teacher's response to a student who expresses considerable concern and problems with the math assignment, he could get a stern, you just need to study more and work harder. Or it could be an encouraging, what seems to be the problem? And let me see if I can help you. The realtor, the car salesperson, the cook, the baker, the financier should have as their focus how they can best serve, and I underline that, serve the needs of individuals who sit in front of them and ask for their assistance, their help. That kind of focus is more rewarding personally and financially. Well, I have a number of other stories about focus, but more importantly, you need to first determine your focus. And second, see if your goals and objectives line up directing you the most efficient and effective path toward that focus. So how do we determine our focus? Well, number one, be a fly on the wall. That is, stand back, so to speak, and view your communication, the letters and advertising, and where your thinking centers, what you think about most, and how you think about it. Is it money? 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 Or service? 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 Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that if you are in business, and you should be, for making money, you have to do that. It's an important goal. It is. But it is just a benefit to what you do. Number two, look at the alignment of your goals. If your focus was Los Angeles, if one of your stops included Chicago, you may want to reevaluate your path. Look at your objectives and their alignment. Number three, review the time and effort and money expended. How much time is spent on different facets of your operation? If you really are concerned about helping your clients or members of your organization, the amount of time and the quality of that time spent with them illustrates that concern. I have a number of experiences and exercises that fit into this section. Our models now, but we haven't got time for those, so we're going to just go to our model for right now, and it looks like this. Number one, we have a strong foundation of being willing to learn and open to learning. Number two, we believe that it is really critical that it is not just talk about things, but we actually apply them, actually do something, and something that reflects our beliefs. Number three, we review our goals and determine that our goals and objectives point to our focus. And if our focus isn't where we want it, if when we look at those goals and objectives, we figure out a way to change. Well, next time we'll be looking at the next pillar in maximizing your success. And always remember, you have the power to do whatever, because it is your business. And hopefully you'll consider your focus and determine, is it really what I want? Hope to see you next time.